할렐루야. 만경적이야.
Giant turtles out to get him, creepy crabs are right behind. Fighter flies, jeepers yikes, they're all coming out the pipes.
Mario, where are you?
It's a
It's a good thing we weren't, like, airing our conversation before this, because I think we were offending every national group out there.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know, Canadians.
Those Guidos ain't
It
getting
shows
out
that we
easy.
play no favorites here.
None.
No, we do play favorites. America.
America.
Yes, but we will offend the Americans.
Times.
Well, if they're the wrong kind.
We have it coming sometimes. Oh.
It's like the, was it Dark Link? They're dark Americans. No, wait. That's not what I meant. They're bad Americans who were, like Scott Pilgrim, negatives of us. They must be put down.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They mostly live in Portland.
Mirror universe.
Yes.
What
live
of
in-
land.
They live in Portland and everything's ironic. It's a special podcast. What podcast isn't special? I tell you. And the special in the
It's always
Incorrect.
special with us, especially when I'm here.
wrong kind of way. That kind of special. But it's this special podcast because I'm here.
Kind of scandalous.
It is scandalous. Unfortunately, Silver's here.
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Here, we'll
Guess
just
what?
get
I
you out of the
lived.
way. You did live.
Ah!
Oh,
Love of God, run!
that was me testing today. That was me.
You were destroying
Exact
the room.
representation. Oh, yeah.
You're just
All the
you
people
know-
running were the proctors. It was great.
Uh-huh. Did you cause violence and explosions? Is apparently what you were doing.
Yes.
Little
always
did you know
got-
she's studying demolition up there at college, and it was her test.
Oh,
If she
yeah.
blew up the proctors, she passed.
Oh, yeah. No one survived this day.
No one's
Pretty hard on the
survived this day.
proctors.
Oh, I hate proctor tests. They're so lame.
Yeah, they suck so bad.
With the
The dumbest
awkward
thing.
room with all
I
of the
hate
really
that room.
stressed out students and the quiet and like you can feel the anxiety coming off of the room.
You could, yeah, the stress and
Yeah.
occasionally the gentle sobbing.
Like
Oh,
a
the worst are
loft.
the digitally proctored ones.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
I did one of each kind today.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That is the worst.
Ah, she deserves it. She gets everything that's
Oh.
coming to her.
Oh.
Oh,
And she will be put down like the dog that she is. Because I
Oh.
declare
What?
rivalry.
excuse you?
I'm calling you out, Silver.
Oh, why? Because I revealed your true name.
No, you didn't reveal my true name. It's because you're degenerate. I'm going to punch you into submission.
Margaret.
No. They're on.
Yes, I
I'm.
found evidence of your true name.
You know what I think it
And now
is?
you can't escape it.
No, I think you're just jelly. I think you're jelly of my name, and you're just a jelly.
I'm jelly of the name Margaret.
No.
Yeah, I've always,
No.
you know what? I remember Silver saying she wishes she had that name.
It's true.
Yeah, I deeply crave being named a Margaret.
No, Rhett, which is the lesser version of my name. You ever see those like handwriting analysis stuff, which I think doesn't make any sense, where you write you look at how somebody writes their names, and based upon how they write it depends upon, like, it says certain things about a person. But like, I do a big swoop at the end, and then I do my T. And I've heard it suggested that if you do a cross through your name like that, it's because you don't like your name. And I was like, oh, interesting.
I have seen some stuff about handwriting analysis. Mostly what I've seen is like they did a study of Richard Nixon's signature before and after the Watergate scandal, and you could see how much stress he was under. Because after the Watergate scandal, his signature was so rushed and sloppy. That kind of stuff I get, but the kind of thing where it's like, oh, if you do this, that means you like the color yellow. And it's like, no, that's stupid.
You know what also is rushed and sloppy? Silver's face. To we do have a podcast to go through.
My mom was doing crunch time. Trying to form the thing.
She was on. Oh, she had little time. I thought you implied that she was doing crunches, and maybe you were just in there and your face smushed in some
crunch
way.
Time.
In utero, just getting smooshed.
you remember? You remember those ab machines where you would sit on it and it would roll forward and you put your arms in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that's you.
That's how we got Silver.
Yeah, that's how we got Silver.
The what things?
Was it
it's
the
like
ab lounger? I forget what those things were called.
Yeah, something like that. You'd lay on it and you'd roll forward, and you put kind of your arms in it. High technology that we've lost over the centuries.
True. We've forgotten how to make them.
But like the ab glider, or
no, the glider is how you break your nose and teeth.
Yes. An efficient
which I
way for
did.
dentists to get money.
That's story for another day.
Remember the cruncher?
I'm surprised you found one large enough for your kaiju size.
Remember that thing that looked like an airplane, and you would hold either side of it and like pull it in towards you?
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I was thinking the long one that you'd have on the floor, and you'd basically like glide along the floor along this board, basically kind of like a push-up. You just go up and down. It like roll.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I smashed my nose on it.
Smooth. Good job, Silver.
Can only make
I
it better.
was like 4. Cut me.
How embarrassing!
I will.
Oh my!
You know what
gosh.
I was doing when I was
It turned
4?
my face purple.
You know what I was doing when I was 4? Advanced mathematics.
True. Yeah, I was a gymnastics phenom. It's not well known, but was.
You know what the problem with Silver is
Some
she's
other 4-year-old Nancy Kerrigan, my ass.
Silver's incredibly jelly, is what I've come to the conclusion of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, that's the definition of me.
just a jelly
Jelly.
Godzilla cat monster. Jason, how's your week going?
Yeah.
Not bad. I'm getting closer to finishing Midnight Suns. It's not a great game, but I want to finish it so I can like.
Jason, when you first started playing it and giving it praise, I told you it didn't do well and it wasn't well reviewed, but you tried to convince us it was fine. I remember that.
No, guys, it's actually really good.
Yeah, you gaslit the entire podcast into thinking that Midnight Suns was fine, and it's not a fine game. I told you it wasn't. All reviews
it's mostly
said it wasn't.
grinding, and the way you level up and stuff is just really stupid. I watched the the last half of an anime called Maria the Virgin Witch. It was pretty terrible too.
Are you sure it's an anime?
It's set in France during the 100 Years' War with England.
Even
There's this
grosser.
witch that apparently doesn't like fighting, and so she keeps showing up at the battlefields and summoning monsters and chasing all the English and French armies away and telling them to knock it off. So the Archangel Michael shows up and says, God wants these people to kill each other, get out of here. And he basically lays an injunction on her and says, you can't use your magic anymore, otherwise we'll kill you. And so she keeps sneaking around. I don't understand how they expect us to be like, oh yeah, heaven's not watching this part. But
You know, it's like the Eye of
she keeps
Sauron.
showing up at the battlefields and stopping them. And the part of the setup was that as long as she was a virgin, she would retain her powers. And it's like, well, then why doesn't heaven set it up so that she loses her powers? I mean, but yeah, it was pretty dumb.
Like Samson?
But that was
Just
my
her
week.
purity gives her mega powers.
Yeah.
If that were
I mean,
true,
there were
I
other
would be
witches, but none of them were under the same condemnation. It was like they were there to help out as mercenaries or something, and they were kind of ticked off that she would show up and end the battles.
Sounds like a great anime.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
All right.
At least it wasn't an isekai.
At least I'll say that. That's
Not
once.
all of the isekais are bad. Most of them have gotten bad because
No,
they lack
no, they're not.
creativity.
I was just referring to the fact that it's a little bit of an oversaturation with isekais right now.
Well, they just lack creativity is the problem. They all kind of
That
rehash
too.
the same concepts. Oh, my life kind
Yeah.
of sucked and I got reborn, or I was kind of heroic and something happened, and then I become overpowered in the new world, I guess. And like there's a demon king for some reason. And I'm sick of it.
5
I'm
seconds
sick of it.
in, Demon King.
A Demon King. Unmitigated disaster. Every time. It's like, I'm sick of the Demon King. It's gotten to the point where, like, we've got animes about the Demon King. Where it's just like, oh, he's the Demon King. And the Demon King is never actually a bad guy. He's usually just misunderstood, I guess. And I'm sick of it.
Every single time.
Every single time. I'm sick of it.
Except
Sick
for
of it.
Rin. Demons suck.
Frieren is amazing. It's one of the
Yes.
best animes in recent
We
memory.
need more like Frieren.
Frieren. Ross, what you been up to, champ? Buttercup.
What? Buttercup? Oh, hey, oh, whoa.
I watched
Oh,
no,
Margaret.
just before this podcast. I was watching somebody react to Princess Bride.
Oh.
It's on my
They had
mind.
never seen it.
I know they hadn't. Some British chick.
Oh,
Gross.
That's hilarious.
You a limey.
Ew.
I bet I know which one. Rhett and I share a shame.
We do
But,
share shame. We like vampires.
Yeah.
We
Well,
can
we're
swim other
emotionless.
people's emotions.
Mostly,
This is-
feeling sadness and happiness
Yeah.
and, those
No,
kind of,
This is the
Yeah.
conclusion we've come to.
the
is
healthy
that,
ones.
well, we're too jaded, and some of these movies we've seen too many times, so we can't muster
Mhm.
the emotion to react to something like Saving Private Ryan because we're so numb to it. So we watch other people react to it and get sad, so that we can leech off of their emotions like vampires.
Oh, yes, I love it. Gets so sad when the medic dies and cries for his mother. Oh, it's so good.
Nom, 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 nom,
Feel
nom.
the emotion.
Nom, 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 nom.
Why do you think I watch so many
No, it's-
people reviewing or reacting to Silent Voice? I've seen it too many times. I need to see
Oh,
other
God.
people get sad.
You're an expert.
I am an expert.
But yeah, no, things is good. I rewatched Come and See this last week, which was depressing. Which is of course no shock. It's a very sad Soviet film about Belarusian partisans in World War II, and nothing good happens. It's all bad.
Oh.
So you should watch it. It's very good. It's incredibly, it's a very beautiful movie. I got it on Blu-ray for Christmas, so I rewatched it with my girlfriend and one of my buddies that came up to visit.
That's a good decision to watch with your girlfriend.
A very good decision. Oh, yeah. Well,
Just
you know what
leave
she
her
told me, and
broken.
I was really mad at myself? She's like, it's a good thing you and Cameron were here, because otherwise I would have cried. I'm like, no! No!
You needed that.
I wanted those tears.
I need them. You know,
So I don't know, maybe in 10 years when she forgets about it, we'll watch it again.
Grave of the Fireflies still exists.
I think she's already seen it, is the problem. And I'll be honest, I don't want to see that again.
No, I gotta.
So I saw a meme about
haven't gone dark
literature
enough, Ross.
today, and it goes right along with the sad Russian film, because it was English literature. It says, "I will die for honor." French literature, "I will die for love." American literature, "I will die for freedom." Russian literature, "I will die."
I will
I
die.
will die. Yep, I will die. There is only death.
Well, you'll die and no one will
Yeah,
remember
it's
you.
Yeah.
You'll die
But
meaninglessly.
yeah, Come and See is a great movie. You should watch it. You get to see a 12-year-old boy look like a 40-year-old man by the end of it. His face ages so much. It's horrific.
Oh gosh.
So,
Sounds lovely.
The first book by a Russian author that I ever read was The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy.
oh my god.
Yeah, it's so heartwarming.
Yeah, that's well, he's a really cuddly, warm guy anyway. So,
And the fifth Beatle stumbles into the chat saying,
Pete Best?
"Yay, baby, let me dry those tears." Macaroni stirring sounds. Dude,
gross, sir. You are
we're so-
uncouth and crass.
Look, I have to get my emotions from something. And if it involves vampiring my way through reaction videos of ladies crying at the death of the medic in Saving Private Ryan, then that's what I have to do.
My wife doesn't like it when we watch a movie if I know somebody dies in it. If I don't warn her ahead of time.
Yes, I know this,
I
Jason.
watched I watched U571, and the thing is that right at the end where he tells Rabbit to go fix the torpedo tube, it's like he's gonna die. But it was like right at that point where she was like developed an irrational attachment to him.
I mean, where do we get the classic?
She didn't
Jason,
care about him up until that point.
Where do we get the classic Jason has no emotions? Because that's what your wife accused you of having no emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Rhett and I are trying to get him from somewhere.
I know.
I find joy in other people's suffering.
Oh my lord,
Oh.
sweet baby.
No, you're too Ned
You should be
Flanders
concerned,
to be that cool. Despite that, yeah, Ross did some stuff. What did I do? Played some games, watched some shows. Let's see. I've been avoiding a lot of the anime on Netflix, but I started going through a bunch of them. And you know what? They're pretty good. I liked Dandadan. I really liked I've recently been watching Delicious Dungeon, which has actually been a lot of fun. I hadn't seen that yet, and I heard it was good, but I just didn't trust it because it's Netflix. There was Ranma One Half, the new version on Netflix, not the one from like the 80s or whatever. And that one's actually really fun. I like the concept of it. The guy's constantly switching his gender throughout the show.
Oh my god.
Well, he was like cursed by something in China, and he's supposed to marry this lady, and every time he gets cold water on him, he turns into a girl, and every time he gets hot water on him, he turns into a boy.
Oh my God.
So it ends up with shenanigans where he's going to school and like he gets water splashed on him, and then he has to hide or look for hot water. It's shenanigans. It's just shenanigans all over. And I'm down for it. I'm down for the drama. Despite that,
The 80s version was actually pretty entertaining, so it's not surprising to me that the remake would be, but at the same time, it's like the situation where we're living in right now, it is kind of surprising that they managed to do something right.
well, because there's no
Although Japan seems to be ignoring that kind of stuff.
there's no reevaluation of the concept of gender, at least for them. So it's not a thing. It's a curse. He's been cursed with something. So I'm not super worried about it. I'm trying to remember the games I've been playing. I don't know, some crap. It doesn't matter. A little bit of Total War Warhammer 3. Chance says, so what happens if he gets tepid water on him? I'm sure that's considered cold. Like, why are you trying to poke holes in a clearly flawless storyline of a guy who switches genders because of water?
It's perfectly his body temperature water. What would happen? Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
He's fine.
He would just get wet.
Don't be jealous.
He's gotta be, get that perfect temperature for the shower so he's not constantly switching.
It's just goofiness where, like, there are guys at the school who fall in love with the girl version of him that he's trying to avoid, and then he's the guy version, and, like, he's supposed to, and then, like, girls are falling in love with the guy version of him. It's just, like I said, shenanigans ensue in this crazy situation. It's lovely. So, look... Usually in this podcast, we have a topic to discuss, sort of the main drama that's going on this week. Guess what? Everybody's been talking about the Anthony Mackie drama. So we're going to address it, but I'd like to think of this in a overarching concept of what the entertainment industry looks like and whether or not this can be rescued. Because me and Ross had a conversation earlier this week where it feels like... we're in the death throes of a lot of this stuff, and I don't know how easily a lot of these things are going to be recovered. But before we jump into the topic, Chance says he starts shit as a man, then pours cold water on himself when it's time to be held accountable.
Being a woman.
I get it.
Cop pulls up and you douse yourself with water so that you can
Just
start
cry.
crying and get out of
Just
the
cry
ticket.
when you get pulled over. Is that what you do, Silver? You degenerate?
Well, the first time I get pulled over, we'll see. I'll let you know.
You've been
You
pulled
haven't been
over
pulled over yet?
constantly.
No!
Oh my God.
You're not driving
Nerds,
unless you're
a lot of you.
treating it like bumper cars.
Yeah, come on. Speed,
So-
dangerously.
Oh, that's how
School
you're
zone.
supposed to do it. Okay.
So we have a new movie coming out, if anybody isn't aware, called Captain America 4. And there's been a lot of pushback.
I know it'll do very well. Oh, wait.
There's been a lot of pushback from people who are fans of Captain America because there's only one Captain America. Why are we calling it Captain America? Sort of the controversial idea that Captain America isn't a specific person and that you can just replace him, like put the mantle on a new person. And he's just Captain
Yeah.
America. He's just as good, everybody. And, well, the reaction has not been positive to the idea, let alone this movie has been reshot almost completely twice with recent reshoots
cow.
as recent as November.
That does
damn.
not give me any... I mean, I never had confidence in this movie going in, but the fact that they've reshot it twice, that really instills no confidence in me whatsoever that this will be any good.
Well, I have suspicions, but before we get into that, he had an interview where he was in Italy talking about the movie, and I don't want to call your opinion on what he said, so we're just going to play it.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like,
a lot of people responded to this as, holy crap, he stepped in it. I'm going to have perhaps a slightly nuanced look. You want to be outraged. This is the internet. I want to foam at the mouth and be like, screw you. Captain America doesn't represent America. Having seen Anthony Mackie talk in other situations, I can tell you that he's probably not trying to be wokey with this comment. It was just very poorly phrased. He's talking to Italians.
Well, because he goes on to say
that Well, no.
What was that?
Go ahead, Ross.
Sorry, you cut out. What'd you say? Okay. Well, because he goes on to talk about like honesty and integrity, stuff like that, like certain virtues, and so it kind of comes off more like he meant to say like it's not just America; it's these things as well. But it came off as like, no, it does. Like it does. It's not about America. It's these things, which has a not this but this quality to it, where it's like, yeah, America doesn't represent any of those things. Where, because I'm sure he's talking to, like you said, like you were saying, he's talking to an Italian audience. So it's like, why should I care about a Captain America? And or whatever.
And it's not necessarily because of America. It's because of the values or whatever. It just came across really horrifically, and you kind of look at him and you really can go, bad. "Oh no, he seems to regret it almost immediately." You know?
Oops.
It's like, oh, that was poorly phrased. And if you listen to this podcast, you could probably pull out single comments and then just take them out of context or take them poorly in an uncharitable way. I do not want to cancel people, and I don't want to take him uncharitably. So, given the context of the situation, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and presuppose that the comment is just very poorly done. The problem is this comment, like a lot of things, means that this movie can't escape the fact that there's a lot of tension and a lot of likelihood that this movie is not going to succeed because there's a lot of expectations that there's going to be negative reactions to it and how it's treating things. He was in a show that was not received well, where he talked down to a senator for not doing well enough for the minority community, hence the do better senator comment. Chance says, I am over Captain America altogether ever since I found out Chris Evans is a god-hating douchebag. Yes, he is quite a heathen, and Chance, as a good Southern boy, is defending his faith. That being said, I'm not a fan of Chris Evans normally, but here's the thing. I really like his Captain America. So I am capable of separating Chris Evans, the man, from Chris Evans, the role that he played. And I don't fault people for drawing a line where I don't like him so much and I want to see his movies. The Chris Evans, who he is personally, I don't see in the film. And so I'm capable of considering those things distant. If I treat every actor like I will not see it unless I agree with their politics or agree with their personal opinions, I will see zero movies. And that's the problem with how things are today, is we know too much about people's personal opinions and their politics because they feel it necessary, almost vital, to tell us about them on a daily basis. But getting back to the point at hand, let's just say perhaps he misspoke. I have a Hollywood Reporter article I'm going to bring up. Captain America Brave New World show can't escape the shows at Disney can't escape the culture wars. It was cut off by the screen, but regardless. Stupid pop-up. Now I'm going to read a little bit. When Captain America Brave New World star Anthony Mackie was promoting an upcoming Marvel sequel at a press event in Italy, he said, to me, Captain America represents a lot of things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, integrity, someone who's trustworthy and dependable. Anthony Mackie posted clarification on Instagram, faster and Cap Perlina's shield. Let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American. Taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. I think that was genuinely what he was meaning to say. Honestly.
Yeah.
And if he meant what he said in a poor way, then he deserves to be ridiculed. But I don't think he was trying to be that way. So, whatever.
I mean, it's fine that he misspoke or whatever, but you can't just say I don't think America is one of the things and not expect something of this nature. Maybe what he should. Obviously, we can look back and say, well, he should have said this, but it's. I don't know. It just seems to me that. It may have been some of his politics bleeding through. I just don't know. I just can't trust anything that comes out of Hollywood anymore.
Well,
I mean, and there's an aspect that other people have talked about this, but they're like these kind of press tours. I mean, are they even necessary anymore? Like, no. I mean, talking about the industry and it's changing and how things are changing right now, like one of the things that maybe should change is these goofy press tours, because otherwise we get things like the bizarre Wicked press tour that was genuinely off-putting. Or, stuff like this, where it's like, we don't, this isn't necessary in today's world with the internet as it is and social media and such. Like, that there's no point to have all this. It was usually done for people's egos.
Yeah,
if they're going to step in it, I think they'd rather avoid it.
You have an actor and a bunch of different publications want to have an interview with them, but you don't have time to do that. So you put them in one room and then you just cycle in different publications or people to sit and ask questions for a couple minutes and then pull them out of the room and put another one in. So these people will sit there for hours answering questions about the movie over and over and over again, sometimes repeated questions that they've already answered 20 times. Press tours are really dumb. They're really dumb. And, we get people who are just so tired and maybe misspoke. Look, I'm not here to defend Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
But this belies the drama that exists in Hollywood at the moment, where the culture war simply hasn't gone away. It's still here. And there's been a lot of backlash towards Disney and Hollywood in general as being, as the article says, quote unquote, anti-American, or that the show might be woke garbage. And that a lot of these movies, a lot of these shows have been entangled in the culture war. Now, you could say that's unjust. You could say that, why are you bringing politics into it? I would argue they brought politics to us. They inserted the politics into it. And how are we expected to not interpret things the way they're presenting them? Where they go, we'll get into it, but the new Spider-Man, it's like everybody expected to be woke, and the actors out there in front of it going, well, I thought it was going to be woke too, and it's not. You look at it. Just look at it. You're going to tell me all of the race swapped of Spider-Man characters and stuff isn't some political agenda? Come on. Yeah. We know what you're doing. Don't pretend you're not. It was a time back in the day where you would have, not that long ago, where you'd have different race characters or different gender characters. It wouldn't mean anything because your presupposition is this is important for the story. This is they wrote it this way, whatever. Nowadays, you presuppose intention, political intention behind everything, because guess what? It's behind everything. So how am I supposed to interpret this in any way? But Anthony Mackie's making bad comments. Now, I've seen enough of Anthony Mackie to tell you it's probably a misspeak. But why do they deserve the benefit of the doubt in general? Why would Disney deserve the benefit of the doubt? You might ask yourself, especially with a movie, that this is the big tentpole movie, one of the big AAA movies that Disney has been trying to develop for a long time off of a show that did poorly. And so we've been waiting for this thing to come out And guess what? They've rejiggered it so many times, which doesn't tell me that they had it put together in such a way that was good. It tells me that as political opinion shifted, they kept re-editing the film. Anthony Mackie had a comment later where he talked about how a bunch of people were implying that the Red Hulk was some sort of parallel to Donald Trump to sort of represent him. And he says that's nonsense. I can tell you that there is word behind the scenes that was kind of the intention. So whether that's true or not, people will interpret it in a certain way. And guess what? That doesn't make it not shock. Look, I'm not shocked when we have an election and suddenly the movie has more reshoots in November. Maybe they thought, some of the content might not go over well with the shifting political winds. This is not a podcast to sit here and tell you whether or not we like Donald Trump or not. We're not here to talk about politics in that way. But politics has so invested our media, our entertainment, our culture, that it is in everything. You can't have a movie without people trying to imply whether or not it's talking about Trump era or the MAGA era or whatever. I mean, look at Civil War. You're going to pretend that the president in that movie didn't represent Trump in some way, didn't have some sort of MAGA sort of right-wing element to it, that he caused this civil war. You don't think that there was political, ideological motivation behind creating that movie before it came out? There are a lot of people with agendas, and Hollywood entertainment, whether it's video games or movies or anything that we've been infected with for the last how long, all of it has been infected with the activism. All of it. And whether or not you agree with the politics or not, guess what? We are stinking tired of the activism. I'm over it. I don't want it anymore. I don't need it anymore. Get it out of this. What,
the only motivation Hollywood should have is capitalist motivations. Is this going to make me money? Yes, then I'm going to do it. Nope, then I'm not going to do it. That's the only motivation Hollywood should have.
Well, I'm going to set that aside. Listen, sometimes they make movies without a motivation as to whether or not it makes money. Sometimes there's an artistic intent. Any movie anybody makes, they can make for any reason they want to. My stance is, if you're going to make a movie and you want it to be financially successful, perhaps the decision making should revolve around making a movie that might get a bigger audience, or might not offend half of the country that might politically disagree with you, or perhaps you don't lean too into controversial political opinions that are still being debated and pushed around in the zeitgeist at the time. If you want to make an art movie and lose money, you're more than welcome to. But don't be angry when half the country doesn't show up for your film because you're preaching garbage and nobody likes it. No one's surprised. And
Let me rephrase what I said just a bit.
This movie's supposed to be uniting. They don't just want left-wing people to watch it. They want everybody to watch it. And when they infect politics into it, they're trying to preach to you. And no one's surprised when people have a negative reaction to even the slightest thing, because they anticipate that there's going to be politics injected into this.
What I want to say is that that Hollywood as an industry, if somebody wants to make an art movie or a documentary or whatever, go for it. You're free to do that. But if you're talking about an industry, the industry, their entire motivation should be to satisfy their customers. And so if they're not satisfying their customers, they should go away, because that's how the market works.
If you want to make money, with that caveat, if you want to make money, then maybe you should make something the audience wants to consume. If you don't want to make money, look, burn hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't care. You're more than welcome to make that decision.
Stack it up and light it on fire. Go for it.
Well, and how many times have I seen YouTube personalities or people in the media get angry when somebody who might be nerdy or geeky looks at something you're making and goes, oh, you're ruining characters I like, and then they decide not to go. There's an article recently, I want to say it was from Variety or something, implying that it was YouTubers that destroyed The Acolyte because of their vitriolic hate. And I was like, or it's a bad show. Is that a possibility? How come it's my job to defend your garbage?
No.
So am I not allowed to have an opinion and then tell everybody I don't think it looks good, or I don't like it, or it's a bad show? Is it my responsibility to defend it for you? How come you require everybody to shill for your
garbage?
You
need to jump on the bandwagon right now.
Well, they require everybody to shill for your garbage, and when people say I don't like it, it's like, how much power do you really think YouTubers actually have? I mean, honestly. Or are they just expressing an opinion of a show that everybody's kind of feeling? And they're giving voice to people who are looking at characters and franchises that you're ruining. And they're finally speaking out against things that you've taken a hold of and you've destroyed. Star Wars is dead. Doctor Who is dead. Star Trek is dead. Indiana Jones is dead. How many franchises do we need to go over where you've ruined it trying to insert politics and ideology into it? How many franchises do we have to have a conversation about where, hey, look, they ruined this character by inserting politics into it? I don't like it. How dare you point out the things we're doing and lob factual statements as if they're insults? And it's like, well, how is it my fault that you made a bad movie? How is that my fault? How many franchises do you have to burn? Marvel went through some of the biggest heydays of AAA movies in forever. They were the dominant of the box office, and you ruined it. You burned it all to the ground. Why? Because we could see the politics into it, and we walked away. It's not my responsibility to prop up your shitty movie. It's not my responsibility to fork out money to help keep your franchises open. It's your job to get me interested, not the other way around.
If you have a passion project, by all means, follow your passion. But, if you want me to support your passion project needs to speak to me and to my desires. It's not my job to support you sight unseen. And then after we've seen your product, it's still not my job to support you if what you gave me was basically a brown paper bag with a dog turd in it.
But you like brown paper bags.
But it was on fire and I had to stomp it out. It was a danger. It was a hazard.
Everywhere.
It was a hazard. Silver, what do you think as our resident diversity hire? Do you feel movies are serving you? Do you feel the industry is doing well?
No. We're just watching this crash, this horrible car accident, entertainment in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if they can recover. It's painful to watch.
I don't know if they recover. Let's circle back. Keep that thought in the back of your head, because we're going to talk about whether or not they can recover. So, much to everybody's chagrin, a genuinely, I would argue, objectively bad movie, but if you like it, you're more than welcome to, is coming out. And it's full of politics. Now, I don't care. Has come out. Now, I don't care if you like it. Hollywood seems to have made a political statement by giving it some of the most, it's tied for the most Oscar nominations ever. And we talked about this last week. No one's shocked when they seem to be, it's like they're having a political statement with the Oscars in response to Trump being elected. That seems like what's happening here. I think any reasonable person, look, Wicked performed better, is more loved, and probably has better music in it than this movie does. This is a year that Dune came out. Dune was very good. This is a year where, look, I didn't like Joker Folie à Deux, but it's an artsy film. Maybe it could have gotten some Oscars. No, this movie is the dominant one. And I would argue objectively is a bad movie. It's a bad story. It's a bad film across the board. Now, they're more than welcome to dominate any movie I want. It doesn't mean I have to care about the Oscars. In my opinion, when you do these sorts of things, it delegitimizes the awards. It makes me think that it's only politically motivated, and that whoever wins the award has less meaning or less value, because it's like, I don't care who you give the award to. It has almost no value. But give the award to whoever, I don't care. I'm just checking out, like movies that I don't disagree with. I don't try and protest the movie and get it taken out. I just disconnect. And that's the problem, is you're seeing people pull out of watching any of this stuff, or pull out of connecting with Hollywood, because you no longer connect with the average viewer. However, in a strange, hilarious turn of events, the main actor, and I'm going to be specific to the not the gender chosen, but the chromosomes that the actor possesses, but he, this trans individual, who is nominated for Best Actress, by the way, which me and Ross's conclusion would be amazing. That men could win both Best Actor and Best Actress, but besides that, this individual nominated for Best Actress. Men win. Men always win. They looked back through tweets issued by this individual, and he had some really terrible takes, it turns out, about Muslims, George Floyd, diversity, and so on. Ross, why don't you give us TLDR really quickly?
Basically, I mean, he had some, less than nice things to say about BLM or George Floyd or whatever, but the one that really I think has legs, no matter what you believe or think, is he said that when it came to the Jews of Europe, that Hitler just had a different opinion.
What an interesting way to. I've never heard that
crazy
before. I've never heard
it's
that
just an
take
opinion.
before.
But yeah, it's and the thing is, like, I love this. I'm gonna just let my opinion be known. I think this is hilarious, not because he has really funny things to say on Twitter, but that Gascon got, like, this movie and this actor both got a lot of attention in the Oscars this year. And now, like, and it's clearly, again, like you said, clearly a politically motivated set of nominations by the Academy, because there was a musical this year that did very well, that was very popular, that has, I mean, look, I'm a certified Wicked hater. I hate that play. But the music's good. Every bit of music I've heard out of this movie, and to be fair, it's not a lot, but this Emilia Perez movie, it sounds fucking horrible. It doesn't look good. There's nothing about it that I understand why it's getting this attention, other than, it's politics, isn't it? And then to have all that, and then have the main actor in the movie completely say the most unwoke shit is awesome. I think that it blew up in the Academy's face, and I'm curious to see. I mean, I was talking to Red earlier. I wonder if they're going to make a quick change no matter what the votes say. We'll see. But I am very curious to see what it actually looks like behind the scenes right now with the Academy, because this blew up, and I think it would have been funnier to wait to expose all this afterwards if this person won. But it's still funny to have it blow up in their face like this, right on the verge of the Academy.
Well, I like that this Hollywood Reporter article basically implies that now that these comments have been unearthed, it's completely upended the Oscar race. So if politics wasn't involved in the decision making, then whatever the individual's political opinions might be, it would be irrelevant that they would simply win the Oscar and you would be able to stand back. But because it's politically motivated, it upends the Oscar race because, oh no, now their politics are not desirable. So what are we going to do? Do you not nominate the trans individual? Or do you not have the trans individual win when maybe they would have? Because of the individual's politics are not desirable?
Because it brings into question, like, well, I mean, like if the act, I mean, this is an act specifically for the actor, for Gascon. If this is an acting, like a recognition of their acting, why would that matter? I mean, I realize it's not good, but like that's not something you necessarily want, like a person, if you're the Academy, you want to like spotlight.
Yeah.
But it's like it shouldn't matter, like you said. Like this is for acting, right? Right? Their acting got them this. Like,
wouldn't their politics mean nothing?
But the fact that immediately they're like, oh.
This is why when people talk about, politics and bring in things like gender, race, what have you, into it, this is where, to me, they lose me. To me, if you're giving someone an award, they did something to merit that award. And it has nothing to do with the fact of anything other than they earned it. They did something and they earned that award. Now bringing in things like race or gender or anything other than what they did to earn the award, one, cheapens the award. And it makes it so that I'm just giving you a participation trophy.
Because you fit certain criteria.
And that's all this is going to be anymore.
Well, and that's always what it was. It's funny. When you make your bed with this political agenda, you have to lie with it. And eventually, when you have purity tests when it comes to your political ideology, everybody will fall short of the purity tests. Everybody will be unclean in the woke religion. And when you have an individual like this who fits all your criteria, but somehow fails morally, it's like, well, you made this bed. Now you have to lie in it. Now you have to, you've set up a paradigm, and now you have to deal with them within this paradigm. You can't just wave this away when you've made such a public display of demonstrating how pure and politically good you are. You can't pretend that comments about the Jews that this individual made is okay. You can't do that. You've set yourself into a position where politics means a lot and activism means a lot, and making statements about things in big sweeping ways and trying to make sure everybody understands your political position. Great, fine. Now you have to live with that, and you have to hold everybody by that standard. And because this person fits in certain political needs, but fails in other ones, it's like, well, you have to excommunicate the unbeliever. Like, this is what you have to do. Or you have to take the shame of allowing the unbeliever to be granted sainthood by the clergy. It's like either way, it's embarrassing.
On top of that, when you make an award, an award nomination based on political motivations, then when the person fails to get the award, they can say it was because of X, Y, or it was because I was, this race or this gender or anything else. You can't throw it back at them that way and then say, no, you just didn't earn it, because you brought them in, you qualified them under something that was not meritorious. You qualified them to be a recipient of that award under this political status that should have no bearing on whether or not they win. And then if you don't give it to them They basically have tied their hands in this instance. They need to give this award to this person.
At the
Regardless
very least,
of
at the very
anything
least,
else.
they sanctify this person as having performed an Oscar-worthy performance. What do you do now? If you kick them out, does the person no longer qualify as an Oscar-worthy performance based upon the individual's political opinions? Does that suddenly, is the performance worse because they have opinions that are undesirable? Because if it is, then the awards have no meaning. So you delegitimize the entire award show, or you're put in a position where you have to keep them in the nomination and potentially allow the individual to win. Like me and Ross were talking the other day, is it a situation where the votes are already in and they already know who's going to win the Oscar? That everybody's already unanimously voted, and that now that we've gotten the scandal, it's going to be embarrassing when they have to give it to him? I don't know. Is there a mechanism behind the scenes where they can manipulate it and change it before it ever gets to that point? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
The thing that they are risking right now, if they don't give them the award, then that's one risk. The other risk, by the same token, is if they do give them the award, they're basically legitimizing their opinions. It's like you can almost say that the people behind the Oscars have the same opinions as this person they gave the award to.
They're screwed if you do, screwed if you don't. But setting aside, the situation is really stupid. It's really dumb. You put yourself into this position. Now you just get to enjoy it. None of us cared about the Oscars anyway. Screw your award show. You're all a bunch of losers.
Sorry for you at all.
You're all a bunch of losers. Which sort of brings us back to the main sort of topic I was thinking of myself. Look, we're going to talk about BioWare failing in the news dump. We're going to talk about Ubisoft failing in the news dump. That both companies have had firings and restructuring and whatnot. BioWare has let go. Their director of Dragon Age has left, has resigned after over a decade being there. The writers of Dragon Age have been let go, and they've now fired a bunch of people and are quote-unquote restructuring to try and help support Mass Effect. That is apparently floundering in its development. And this goes to look, we've had AAA after AAA. The Ubisoft drama, Concord, issues with Sony, firings across the board. How many failures do we have to have? How much money needs to be hemorrhaged? How many people need to lose their jobs before the entertainment industry realizes they are going in the wrong direction? How much money needs to be lost? It's almost that joke of like in politics where it's like the government spends money on it, but it always spends way too much. So it'd almost be more effective to fill the pothole with money than it would be to actually pay to get it fixed, because it costs way more to try and get the contractors and all the other things. It would be easier if you just set the money on fire and help to heat millions of homes than to actually produce these games, because the entertainment industry is busted. You went hard into the DEI politics. You went hard to try and back up the new political wave that had hit this country worldwide as well. You went hard that direction, and we are seeing products that are still coming out under that umbrella of ideology. The problem is it wasn't popular, even though you told yourself it's important. It's the right thing to do. We need to talk about the politics and the activism. We need to do the right thing. We need to spread the good message. But audiences didn't receive it. They didn't want it. And it reflected in your sales, and it reflected in how these were received critically. And we're still getting, and now that we've hit an election where it's been so rejected that companies and the government is flat out fleeing from DEI, we are still seeing these things come out. Now, to be fair, these are multiple year projects. They can't stop it. They know that this is no longer a politically viable position to be in, that the winds of politics has shifted and people don't enjoy these products, and that's why they're not consuming it. They know that, but they can't stop it because they're still coming out. No matter what they do, and I would argue a lot of these activists in these organizations are still there. And they still want to say these stories in a political manner. It's just no longer an optional thing because it's a death nail on your industry. And it doesn't matter if it's video games or movies or whatever it happens to be. This is death. This is death for the industry. This is death for entertainment across the board. And I don't know how whether or not, whatever industry it happens to be, if you're in entertainment, how survivable a lot of these groups are going to be, how survivable movies will really be. I was talking to Ross the other day and I was like, is there anything coming out, any big budget AAA movie coming out that you can think of that you're remotely interested in?
Yeah, and I was thinking, and as far as games go, the only one I could think of is Gears of War E-Day. As far as movies go, nothing. I can't think of a movie that I really want to see that's coming up this year. I haven't seen a trailer for anything yet. I haven't heard of anything yet. And as far as, you mentioned, like, can they survive this? I mean, I think the reality is these industries need to realize that, specifically with movies, but I think you can make the same argument with video games too. It's never going to be the way it was. It's just not. Like, now, can Hollywood still stay on top? Maybe. I don't know. Can these studios survive? Maybe some of them. But the industry is contracting, period. Like, that's just how it is. TV's already been dealing with this. Video games are now going to be dealing with this. I mean, I think this last year we've seen it. I mean, Ubisoft can't just crap out a Star Wars movie, a game, and still expect it to make all their money back. It didn't. It ate a big one. It tripped right on the way out the door and broke all of its fucking teeth. So, no, the industry's changing. You can't have, I mean, what was I telling you the other day that, like, the rumored budget of Call of Duty Cold War was like $700 million?
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolute insanity. The budgets cannot continue to go this way. Because, look, maybe your game will make it that has that budget. It might. Or it could be Star Wars Outlaws and not make its money. Or it could be the Justice, the
Suicide.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, excuse me. It could be that. So it could just not make any of its money back. And it could kill your studio, maybe. Who knows? So maybe don't take such big risks. Maybe don't put all your money on red. Maybe just make something that's reasonably budgeted and that, you have passion for. Because clearly there's something lacking in these things. And I think movies is going the same way. Maybe when you hit your third entire reshoot of a movie, you need to think about maybe we're not doing something right. And maybe this whole project needs to kind of not be done. But, Marvel and then Disney have created such a hype train and such a... They like to tell you what's coming out way in advance, although they've avoided that this last year. That now that, like, the things they've announced, it's like, well, especially these movies they've already put money into, they've got to do it. I mean, they can't just memory hole it like Willow.
Did you know that?
So I don't know.
They've reclassified, like word is that Willow was a lot more expensive than we thought it was. That it's like $125 or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They could do the Batwoman thing and just burn it before release.
Just eat it as a tax write-off. But it's embarrassing to do that. It is accepting defeat.
Yeah, it is embarrassing.
Which would be more embarrassing?
Letting it come out?
They would rather spend more money thinking that they can fix it than lose all of it and take the embarrassment of, we had to hide this product.
And to be fair, Captain America is bigger than Batgirl. Like, to be fair, I get, and you know, no, we're the ones that always win. We're not DC that, you know, like trips over its own shoelaces constantly. No, we're gonna have, like, okay, but like, I think they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I think they're trying to not only make money back, but try to damage the property as little as possible at this point. I genuinely think that's what they're trying to, and you know,
the word is
fair enough,
behind the scenes at Marvel that they know they screwed up, that they've lost a
Yeah,
lot of trust. Whether or not they're able to correct the ship is a whole nother story, because you burn too many bridges. For me to convince that Marvel, I want to see every Marvel movie again, is they would not only have to have like more than one consistently, they would have to start a new trilogy, and all three would have to be good for me to go, you know what, I'm going to try the other Marvel stuff tentatively.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to say this as somebody who's not a comic guy. I'm not comics, dude. But to me, I think they're drawing from a poisoned well. I mean, how's the comics industry been doing the last 10 years? I mean,
it's been dying.
Yeah, horrible. You know, like, I think they should come out with what they're coming out with and let it rest for a little while. You know, how can I miss you if you don't go away? But
the other argument was,
I mean, look,
you can't have an Avengers movie without the core Avengers. You can't just do the new gen stuff. So the argument is maybe we just reboot at some point. Just scrap it and try again. I
don't know. Because, look, the fact that Marvel Comics couldn't make money hand over fist with the MCU going at the rate it was going is insanity to me. And I realize these are separate companies, but like, they are all under the umbrella of Disney, are they not? I mean, Marvel Comics isn't just completely set; it is bought out. Yes.
Yeah.
Then what the hell is going on? Iger, or you know, whoever's Chapek, whoever's been in. No, you will make tie-in comics, you absolute morons. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just, that has always bothered me, and I don't like comics. I'm not a Marvel or DC. Like, you know, I like Spider-Man. I like the Iron Man movie. I like X-Men. Like, that's, you know, just the stuff I kind of grew up with. But I was never a big person to this, but it always baffled me. I mean, ever since the MCU got huge, that they're not doing tie-ins. That's crazy to me. They used to do tie-in video games for the most random properties back in the day, and they can't do tie-in comics? Huh? I don't know. Strange to me. And I think it's indicative of complete mismanagement all the way through. I mean, you know, it took a lot longer for it to hit MCU, but it's just crazy.
You want to know an interesting fact? Remember last week where I read off that it was something like 23% of the video game industry is non-binary or something like that? Which is weird, like way out of the normal general demographic of individuals that identify that way. And so you go, why are there so many non-binary? Like, there's a massive amount of women in the game industry. Did you know most of the layoffs in the past few years were from those demographics?
No, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Holy cow!
Maybe they realized.
Makes you wonder who was the toxic element.
Replete with activism. DI is no longer tenable financially. Now, you can die with it, which some industries seem intent to do, or you can move out of it and just try and make movies that people might like with good positive messages, or maybe something inspiring. Whatever. You can make any decision you want, but if you want your industry to stick around, you have got to do such an about face. Like they have got to do a generic wholesome, like Captain America 4 needs to be like watching Top Gun Maverick. It's just America's great. We're going to fight generic bad guys and everything's good. Like, no messaging, no implications, no the president's a bad guy, or just do a general story.
No tying it into a show nobody watched.
And you don't have to be political. It doesn't even have to be like, I'm patriotic about my country and also they did nothing wrong. You don't have to do that. Just do like, I like my country and I'm going to defend certain values. Guess what? Captain America defended certain values and fought against the government when they didn't live up to those values in the comics multiple times. In the movie, he resisted S.H.I.E.L.D. because they had gone corrupt and he didn't agree with what they were doing by spying on Americans. It was funny. Somebody asked the Russos about how in the second Captain America movie, Winter Soldier, they're like, so he doesn't like the idea that they're tracking people around the world and they have the ability to kill them instantly with these helicarriers and this new program and stuff. It's like, are you talking about the unfettered drone strikes that we've been up to? And they're like, absolutely. That's what we've been talking about. And it's like, yeah, because like you can do politics and it doesn't have to be heavy handed. It can be just get you to think about it, but stop. So I'm going to start with the quietest and most degenerate among us, and I'm going to work the other way. But Silver, can entertainment be saved? And if it can be saved, what steps do they have to take to fix it? Silver.
They've such a hard question because they damage it so much.
I agree.
I don't know how they would really piece it back together, other than, of course, make good stuff. But that's such a simple statement.
It's so hard for them to do that too.
Yeah. I don't know. They gotta start going through, looking at stuff. You know, speaking of Top Gun Maverick, I think they should kind of look at that and go, huh, people liked that.
They did.
We should do things like that.
They should.
They could, with well-loved older movies, try at least, make good second movies, whatever, next ones, like Top Gun Maverick. That is not going off on the rails into a completely different realm what that movie wasn't. People love that, and I think that a bunch of people could come back to Hollywood if they started doing more things like that.
Do you think it's enough to save the industry's nosedive?
I think it's a start. It's possibly something that could help, but there's probably more, I don't know, helpful things that could be done. But I'm not well versed in the Hollywoods.
Make better
Other
movies.
than, what if they clean the entire house? Just purge it all.
Ross, what do you think?
I think so. But I think it's going to have to come with certain realizations, and certain, like, I think the main realization they're going to have to come to terms with is you're not going to be as big as you were, and I mentioned that earlier. But like, have reasonable expectations. I mean, because as far as I can tell, as someone who's just vaguely paying attention compared to the people that are actually living it, it feels like this is kind of a free fall.
Yeah,
it's that moment in Cliffhanger when the straps break and they start falling.
Well, it's like turning the Titanic. We don't have enough time. We're just going to have to hit the thing.
Yeah. And I as long as they can have a reasonable expectation of the kind of money they can make, the kind of damage they can mitigate, and I think it will also have to come with, you can't have movies with $250 million budgets on the regs. Like, that's not sane. You need to, budgets need to be pulled back and be reasonable. And, which I don't think the MCU is going to do anytime soon unless they cancel the ones that Robert Downey Jr.'s in, because the rumors of his contract for these new movies he's in as Doctor Doom are hilarious.
They are. Where
he's going to have, a trailer village. Like a compound, but whatever. I think as long as they can have reasonable and then just make simple stories. Look, what was the budget on the original Joker movie again? $50 million,
Yeah, something like that.
and it made $1 billion. Now, I'm not saying every $50 million movie can make $1 billion, but look at all the Blumhouse movies and all that stuff. They are modestly budgeted, and they make their money back. And like, he's created an empire. Is it as grand and glorious as Disney? No, but like, you gotta just take a tenth of that. Just cut it by a third or something. Like, do anything, because you have to have a hit, like a major, huge global hit to make your money back, and you can't always guarantee that. So just have reasonable expectations.
I would wrap in the bloated budget of movies with as well with bloated budgets in video games.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to know what GTA 6 is at already.
Well, we do have some to talk about GTA 6, but yeah.
Yay!
What was that? Oh,
sorry.
I think that they can fix, or they can recover, and I'm with Ross on this in that I don't think that they will be nearly as big or as powerful as they used to be. But I think that a lot of what they need to do would be to start out with, to show some good faith, is to get rid of the DIE stuff. Just get rid of it. That will show people that they're turning, that they're trying to get back on the right track. And then they need to stop thinking of themselves as the be-all, end-all. They need to realize that they're workers and that they have clients, and those clients are us, and we're paying their bills, and we are, we have other things. They are a luxury. And if they're not going to give us an entertaining product...
In COVID, they were considered essential workers.
Yes, and they were not. And they are a luxury item. And if I'm looking at it and saying, well, here are these two luxury items, and I can only pay for one of them, I'm going to go for the one that's actually entertaining, the one that satisfies my needs. And if it's not you're not getting my money. And so they have to then appeal to me. They have to realize that like I said, that we are their consumers, that they are beholden to us, not the other way around.
I think I'm going to be more of a Debbie Downer in this situation. I mean, can they survive? In what form, I suppose, would be my response. And both you and Ross had the point of like, oh, well, they're going to be smaller than they are. I don't think the industry, after the massive issues that have happened, the bad movies, the bloated budgets, they had COVID, and then they had the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And then we had the LA fires. Yeah. I think all of this belied sort of the shaky, uneven ground that the industry lives on. And I don't think the paradigm that we exist behind of big, giant tentpole franchises and production companies, and I don't think they're going to survive the way things have gone anymore. I think the industry where they put out a movie, it goes to the theaters, everybody goes and sees it, then it goes to the DVD. I think that's done. I think movie theater going will be a luxury for movies who want people to have that experience, but by and large, movies are going to be made for their streaming release. And that the streaming companies are going to be the big restructuring of where movies go. And Hollywood is going to have to live under the new paradigm and umbrella of your Netflixes and your HBOs and all of these other, like, how many movies have come out now where it's like, oh, it came out, weeks later it's on streaming. It's almost instantaneously. I think what was movies is dead. I don't think the industry is survivable the way they are running it. And I think the only way to rejigger it so that they survive with any semblance of what the industry used to be is the budgets have to be slashed, like Ross said. They have to make better movies and more simple movies like Silver and Ross talked about. And Jason reinforced the point of they need to change up what they're doing. They need to get rid of the DEI. But at its end, all of this has to go away to the point where they just have to, everything's going to have to shrink dramatically. Budgets are down, big budgets, no longer a thing, paying the actors what they, none of this is a thing anymore. You have to go back to the writing board. Make movies that you think will be fun, the general audiences will want to access, and that these are just going to have to be a streaming service sort of thing. And if you put it out on theaters, then it's because you think it would be fun. But by and large, these are now just a conduit for content for streaming services. I think that's what we've turned into, and theaters are probably going to dramatically reduce what they used to be now. The way the industry's been run is over. It's over. And the longer they fight it, the worse the crash will be. Because we're done now.
Yeah.
No one cares about Hollywood. No one cares about their opinions. No one cares about their award shows. Nobody cares about their movies. Let it all burn down. And what survives will be people making art that's fun and interesting that people want to see, that doesn't offend people, or at least has enough of an audience to make its money back. The video game industry is the same. The video game industry, I think, has been cruising for a crash for a while. Bloated costs, lack of definitive differences between one brand or console of another, the mixing of things. The budgets are out of control. The costs are going up. The rampant DLC, the loot boxing, the preaching to you. How many failures have we had in the past few years? This podcast has been nothing but reporting on massive collapsing from massive over-budgeted video games. Video game prices need to be out. I think if the video game industry, if it keeps doing what it's doing, we're just going to have to have a bunch of these big tentpole AAA companies just die. BioWare goes away. Yeah. Ubisoft goes away. Maybe Blizzard survives. And what they rejigger to more reasonably priced, fun games, and perhaps more indie titles where they can be 16-bit looking and still be fun. Nintendo seems to have figured it out. They're not bleeding money constantly, and that's because they're not trying to preach to you politics. It's just a fun Mario game. Guess what? I have fun. That's all I want.
You know what the problem is that the other companies see with Nintendo is they're not trying to fly to the moon with their product. Like, but you're not the biggest thing ever. And so yeah, but they're healthy and have good sales, and like it. I think some of this can be a little bit is like this sort of corporate, like, well, we're always growing. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to be like growing by 300% every year. And I think that's part of why budgets got so bloated. It's like, well, if I put more money in, I get more money out. It's like, not always. And you could kill your company.
Well, and even with like the comic book industry, one of the biggest failings is they lost the trust of your longtime consumers who would buy anything because they just loved it. And you've lost the trust by the people that buy it, and they're not coming back. And guess what? The new audience that you were chasing isn't spending money the way the old audience was. And the comic book industry is dying because they've lost the trust of the reader. They don't want, and what is going to have to happen with the comic book industry? Some of the big boys are going to have to die, and comic books will still stick around in like an indie form of people who just love that sort of thing. Will it ever fully go away? Will movies ever fully go away? Will video games ever fully go away? No. But they will not be the same. Almost like the line from The Hobbit, will I survive? Can you guarantee me that I'll survive? And he says no. And if you do, you will not be the same. And I don't think the industry is going to be the same. I don't think it survives. Or at least in the way that it used to be.
Like I said, I think there are ways for them to recover, but this is definitely going to be a restructuring, because I can see studios, some director comes in and says, I've got the best script. It's awesome. And they plunk it down on the desk, and he says, I need 250 million to make my vision come true. I can just see so many studios sitting there going, we got burned one too many times on this kind of thing. We're only going to give you 50 million.
Yeah.
And
if they have the
good
money
luck
to
with
give.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know where Hollywood is going right now?
No.
Up in smoke.
So an organization
Down
called
the ditch.
Stay in Hollywood has Stay in LA has sprouted up because the LA fires were so devastating to the industry that it seems like a lot of people are actually moving to Texas.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I bet Texas is happy.
Oh, Texas is happy. Freaking McConaughey and what's his name that did the very popular first season of True Detective. They're petitioning to move because they're going to come back for a new season because the last season wasn't that popular. So it'll be fascinating with the one season everybody loved. They're coming back for a new one. And they're petitioning to move the entire operation to Texas. Why? Because why spend the extra money to be in Hollywood? And there's a lot of people paranoid in LA that they're losing everybody, that they're scattering to the winds. And I think they're realizing you don't have to film in LA. Guess what? A lot of movies film in Georgia. A lot of movies film in Canada, in Vancouver. Guess what? Because it's cheaper. Hollywood doesn't need to stay in quote unquote Hollywood. Why stay there?
You know why Hollywood was a thing to begin with?
Well, yeah, because of the temperature and they could film year round essentially.
The weather.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And now with all the stuff all the advancements in technology that we've had over the years, it makes sense to move to other places because you can still film in those other places now year round.
And how many things are
the
filmed
same way you do in Hollywood? But
and how many things are filmed in a studio? And how many TV shows are shorter now? There's not the 24 episode. Even if you have to do a lot of outside shots, like say a True Detective or a Walking Dead, now with streaming, 10 episodes a season is standard. Everything's a miniseries now.
10, 12.
So, yeah.
Interesting discussion. News dump.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
So news dump is Chance ushers in, pooping on the toilet. Lots of news dump to go through. So little time. Sandman is being canceled. They're ending it after season 2. Nobody's surprised. Neil Gaiman is poison. He has ruined his reputation and is no longer tenable.
Just kind of as an aside on this, the Terry Pratchett.
I saw that. I was going to bring it up since we got Neil Gaiman here. Good Omens.
Oh yeah, that one. Basically, they did a Kickstarter, and they have removed Neil Gaiman from the Kickstarter. He will not. They're actually going to be refunding people money if they want it. They were going to do basically a graphic novel version of Good Omens, and the Terry Pratchett estate. That's what it is. So if you backed it, you can get your money back, and they've restructured the Kickstarter now so that if you're still on board, Neil Gaiman won't get any money from it.
By the way,
dunked on, nerd.
Good Omens on Amazon is over. They're ending at season 3 or something like that.
Wow.
So look forward to that. Neil Gaiman,
And it's been
who was the guy in the comic book industry. He was the art guy that everybody was blown away by, who did everything. His fall from grace has been, I mean, they're purging him. They're purging him from the industry.
Yeah, they are.
In Ubisoft news that I alluded to, apparently the support studio that worked on Outlaws and Skull and Bones is being targeted for quote-unquote restructuring. More than anything, I expect they're probably moving them to other places and the studio's being shut. This should impact
Probably,
185
that's probably a
employees
reasonable
overall.
assessment.
Yep. Hey everybody, shock. Make bad game, no one want bad game. No one like bad game.
No more money.
In a surprising turn of events, everybody, the Bethesda game Dishonored 2 costs more to make than Skyrim. Yeah.
God, are you serious?
Yes. And it sold worse.
Cow. That's... Oh, of course it did. I mean, I don't even think... Look, I'm not a huge Dishonored fan. I don't hate it or anything, but like Skyrim is way more appeal to it.
At the time, the word was that they didn't like just the male protagonist from Dishonored 1, so they made it so that you could play as either the male or the female so that women could go around and awkwardly assassinate people who didn't deserve it. And I don't think it attracted people. And it seemed to not. Shock. Cost more than Skyrim, everybody. Good decisions.
Shocked to hear this.
We have finally got definitive Rings of Power numbers. In a shocking turn of events, everybody. We have definitive Rings of Power numbers. Now, if you recall, if you recall, only 38%. Well, this is from Illuminate data, so they're collecting data on their own. But if you recall from season 1, only 38% of people lasted from the first episode to the final episode of season 1.
Right.
Well, it looks like season 2 lost 60% from season 1.
Oh. And how many people came over from season 1 to season 2?
60% was lost from season 1 to season 2 is what I'm telling you.
So 40%, and they lost 60% of that.
38% survived from the first to the last episode of season 1, and of that 38% that stuck around, they lost 60% of that to going into season 2.
God damn.
Of course, it might be counted in overall minutes, so they might be counting the overall minutes of season 1 and then the overall minutes of season 2, and then comparing them and seeing a 60% loss.
Sure.
Regardless, we also have numbers for the top 10 shows of 2024. You notice anything on here? No Disney Plus.
Hey, I'm not...
Not one Disney Plus show.
God, Landman came in that high, and they came in late in the year. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And Tulsa King. Tulsa King's made for like a pack of chewing gum and like a can of beer. So that's crazy.
It's
a very
the only Prime show in the top 10 was Fallout.
That's hilarious.
No Disney Plus. No Acolyte. Nothing. No Agatha. Yeah. Rings of Power, the most expensive show ever made, didn't hit the top 10.
God damn. That's embarrassing.
And not one Disney Plus show.
A show that cost that much money, for Amazon to count that as a win, it needed to be number 1.
Well, and the show that they ushered out the door with no fanfare and just had it all dumped all at once, no staggered release, beat it. And made it other shows from other streamers on that list as well.
The most popular Disney Plus show, Percy Jackson. None of the Star Wars.
Oh my god.
None of it.
Hey, how much did we pay for Star Wars again? Oh,
here's a comparison of minutes watched. Season 1, Season 2, Loki, Secret Invasion, Agatha All Along, Echo.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, that drop for season 1 and 2 is crazy.
Yeah.
That's not even half.
No.
Just eyeballing it, that's less than half.
Yep.
Yeah, 60%.
Yep.
So
Boy, that sucks, huh?
things ain't going super well.
The TV industry is very healthy, I see.
Mega healthy. Oh, as I
And you know
alluded to
what?
before,
It's all our faults.
It's all our
if we
fault.
weren't such douchebags,
the outsized single-digit
Then,
influence
Acolyte
that
would've
this
been number
podcast has. Dragon Age Veilguard writers have been laid off. In part in BioWare's restructuring. You want to know something
I'm
fun?
not laughing because I find joy in that. I'm laughing because I find it like it was one of those things where we told them it was bad, and it's now vindicated.
You know something fun? One of the writers that worked on Dragon Age Veilguard that left before the game was finished. Do you know what game they moved on to? Ghost of Toei.
Mass Effect. Oh my god!
Yeah, it's a good sign. It's a good sign, everybody.
Oh, I know, Rhett's excited.
I'm so excited right now. Talk about BioWare problems, which was the other massive news this week. It's a bad time to be a diehard BioWare fan, or BioWare employee for that matter. The House of the Dragon Age and Mass Effect house build is being taken apart piece by piece. EA is reallocating employees to its other studios following Dragon Age Veilguard's bumpy landing, and Mass Effect 5's apparently stunted development. Bloomberg reports that less than 100 people remain at the once revered studio on this week's Aftermath hours.
Yeah,
We talk about how it all came to be. Things ain't looking good for the once dominant studio at BioWare.
Bumpy landing? That was like a belly flop with no landing gear. Come on.
In a bit of news that Ross shared with me.
That pretty much... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, Mass Effect has to be a win.
Has to. Yeah. I don't think the studio survives a failed Mass Effect.
Yeah, I don't think so at all.
And look, I don't like the direction BioWare is going, but I am not going to report that BioWare is doing well when they're not. We are going to be honest on this podcast on the success of the game. Guess what? There are games that I didn't like that did really well. I'm going to tell you if they're doing really well and that they're received well, because I realize that despite the fact I am the protagonist of this world, that I am not the opinion maker. And that a lot of people have opinions that don't align with mine, so that's fine. So if we sit here and go like, wow, BioWare's making terrible decisions and they're really dumb because this is what we're seeing, no one's shocked by it. Apparently they're turning what used to be the Star Wars hotel into offices. The $1 billion cost Star Wars hotel, by the way.
That could have been such a win for Disney.
Yeah. Well, they leaned into the Disney adult, overpriced, like they'll pay it, whatever, screw them.
$5,000 for the ticket.
Deliver. Yeah, that's insanity. Look, even if you are wealthy, you're not going to want to. If you're going to pay that kind of money, you want actual. Because you're
going to stay at a 5-star hotel resort.
Well, exactly, and you're not going to eat blue shrimp.
Yeah,
and have weirdo theater kids who can't help you with the weird app that you have to use to do the Star Wars interactive things, not be able to help you because they can't break character. Like it was so stupid. I mean, they just make it a themed hotel. What's wrong with you? Just have the people checking you in dressed like Han Solo, and just like. Have it normally priced. I mean, look, those Disney resorts hotels are already way overpriced anyway, and this one was way higher than those.
It was doomed to fail right out of the gate.
I mean, goddamn, how many Disney adults do you think exist that can afford that? Holy God!
Well, especially with a Star Wars themed hotel, you're going to want to bring your kids to that.
You would hope.
By the way, the Star Cruiser in the lore is canon. Like what happens?
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's in like some of the books and stuff.
That's so dumb. Talk about tie-in, though.
It
Huh?
felt like videos I watched of the Star Cruiser were mostly influencers, like with little cameras.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at least with the rest of the Star Wars park, you saw people with their like cell phone footage, but the hotel was entirely Disney influencers.
More news that
Well, they
Ross
wanted
shared
to get
with
people to come to the hotel, so
Yeah.
more news that Ross shared with me. It looks like the next Gears of War is going to be by the people that made Judgment, which me and Ross are the only ones that are excited for because we actually liked Gears of War Judgment.
Yep.
Screw
Look,
you, sweat lords on the internet. We thought it was a good game.
Yeah, damn goobers. People Can Fly are a good cut. They've made good FPSs and shooter games. Like, I think this is a good sign personally. They're also Eastern European, which is typically better. So there you go.
To be fair, the studio might not be the same studio that it was when they made Judgment, but
No,
let's see.
I mean it's been 10 years.
But I liked Judgment. Suck it.
Me
Thought it was
too.
good.
It's been unduly harshed on by the rest of the Gears of War community.
So Ross, there's a rumor that the
Yes.
standard edition of GTA 6 will be $100.
What?
Yeah.
yikes.
Deluxe something
Holy
like
What?
like 150. Yeah.
Ew.
Also the online capability, the online feature, the multiplayer feature will be sold separately. That is confirmed.
Oh my god.
This is something that happened
Oh.
with Red
How
Dead
much
Redemption.
more? How much more?
Red Dead Redemption, you had to have a code to activate the online.
Yeah.
It was sold
Because
separately.
it launched without the online, right? It was just
Yep.
single player at launch, and then they
I
developed
bought
the
the
online. Yeah.
collector's edition, so I had the online added. I don't think it worked right out the gate, but I wasn't really someone who was interested in playing.
Right, yeah,
online.
it's not your thing.
No. So, $100 games. Do you, this reminds me of?
$100 game where I have to pay for the online separately is crazy.
Do you remember when we had that PS3 version that was like $700 or something absurd?
Mm.
Do you remember what they said about people complaining about the price? Like the head of Sony at the time?
No, I don't.
Yeah. His response was people will work harder so that they can afford it. Not that it was too expensive.
Is this the head of Sony Japan or America?
I think it was America.
Oh my god, that is so much worse.
So it's like
What a dickhead.
So in my mind, when I hear $100 GTA 6, I'm like, I guarantee you they're going like, well, everybody had to have GTA 5. Everybody did.
Yep.
Even if it costs more, they'll pay it anyway.
They're
They'll
banking
work
on
harder. They'll work harder so that they can get it.
They're banking on the fact that they have a built-in customer base, and they're just, saying, well, they'll pay it because they want to play it.
Boy, are we going to see the downfall of Rockstar? I mean, that's crazy. And especially the rumors we've been hearing about how the game will be. I mean, and they are just rumors, bear in mind, but like,
It seems
it's not
very-
going to have the
yeah.
same sort of tone.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not a GTA guy. They're not getting my money. But I
No,
would
hell no.
expect it's going to sell really well. It may not have longevity though. There's too many people entrenched to GTA 5. They may not all move over. We'll have to see the success. And we will report whether or not it's successful or not, even if I do or don't like the game. Moving on. It looks like Warner Brothers Games has lost about $300 million in the last, I think, year.
Oh,
And you go,
Oh,
where did
dear.
that $300 million go? $200 million approximately lost on Suicide Squad. And as we're seeing, Multiverse is being shut down. The last updates are coming out. We are no longer getting Multiverse. And it looks like they've lost about $100 million. I saw one scene claiming like $110 million on Multiverse.
god damn.
Once again, WB.
I'm
doing
surprised.
well.
I'm surprised Suicide Squad made as much money as it did because I know the budget was way bigger than 200 some odd million.
And my favorite bit of news to come out recently, Ross. So we haven't been talking about D&D much because I hate Wizards of the Coast and they're an awful company. But in a fascinating turn of events, the new D&D version of the Monster Manual has some interesting parts to it. Liches will no longer have phylacteries because it might be offensive to Jews.
Oh my gosh.
In the new D&D 2024 Monster Manual, they now have spirit jars. The liches is supposed to phylacteries. Sphinxes are no longer distinguished by gender. And my favorite part is orcs are no longer in the book.
What?
Orcs are no longer in the monster book because they're people now. They're not monsters.
Oh God, they're a player race. Jesus Lord.
Orcs are people too.
Remember the implication that orcs were racist because people thought they were black people? And I was like, that's a racist thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
What an
That's
awful
horrific.
thing to say.
Like, that's a horrific thing to say about
They're
black
horrible
people.
green monsters. So, yeah.
God damn.
Orcs are no longer monsters in Dungeons & Dragons.
Remember, kids, gatekeep harder. This is what happens when the theater kidization of your hobby happens. So, you know,
They don't
get those nerds
deserve
the
your
hell out of
money.
your hobby. They suck.
They don't deserve your money.
No. And the thing is, this is so stupid. We have the previous editions of D&D. All we need is a rule set, and you can make whatever you want. This has been the eternal problem with trying to monetize the crap out of these sort of RPG systems. Especially for people that are experienced, they're not hard to deal with. Like, you can make up your own. You can take one and
House
shift
rules
it
have
around
been
and do your own thing.
House rules have been a thing forever.
Yeah. So it's just like, what are you, like, this is really dumb. You guys are making a bad choice.
Yeah. This is a series of events of bad decisions made by Wizards. And they're a terrible company and always have been. Screw you, Wizards of the Coast. Another bit of my favorite news, Ross. So, the BBC is considering charging Netflix users a BBC license fee so that they can keep paying for the BBC.
Oh my God. Please, God, you need your license. We're losing money. People are pissed at the BBC.
The extension
I
fee.
hope they do it, and I hope it goes to court, and I hope somebody slaps the BBC.
Yeah, because apparently people are just not paying the BBC. Because legally speaking, believe it or not, BBC is a government-funded program. And if you don't want to pay for it, and you don't have a TV or access to it, you can say, I don't want to pay for it, and I don't have a TV access to it. And legally speaking, they're not required. They don't have to charge you, but they are very aggressive to the point where, like, they can look in your window if the blinds are open and see if you have a TV to try and charge you, sort of thing. And people have been the same problem exists in Japan, where the people that sign you up for their public news thing are very aggressive to the point where they want to see if you have a TV in your home, because you have capability to watch their cable television. Then you have to pay the licensing fee for Japanese television. We don't get it because we're not degenerate foreigners, so we don't have these problems. But apparently the BBC is doing so poorly that they're considering charging an extra fee on top of what you pay for Netflix and apparently Disney Plus to help pay for the BBC.
That is hilarious.
That makes absolutely no sense. That's like me going over to my neighbor and saying, because you exist, I'm charging you a fee to be my neighbor.
Well, the fee as it would have existed in the 50s, maybe late 40s. I forget when the BBC became a television thing, but late 40s into the 50s or whatever. Like they were it. So I get it. Like the reason you have a TV is for us, and you are like, because then slowly private TV started, like broadcasters became a thing, and now the internet's a thing. But like, to be fair, the odds of you watching something on the BBC were pretty high. if you had a TV, even after private broadcasters became a thing. But like now, it's like, what do you mean I have to pay for the BBC? I didn't sign up for their streaming service. You can kiss my ass. Like, go
Seriously.
away. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, this is
At
what
least
you
you
have
could
when
kind of make the argument if you owned a TV.
when you have a bad government. This is what you get.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're
and,
like,
and you know,
we need to
they've
get a cut.
frittered away all the goodwill the BBC had. So
Yeah. They certainly have. Love that story. Love that for Britain.
that is hilarious.
Jason has Spider-Man 2 news. I didn't want to watch the show or talk about it because it looks like garbage, but go ahead, Jason.
Well, this was just that apparently the guy who voices Peter Parker tweeted or something that he was afraid that the show was going to be woke and was surprised when it wasn't. And now the what is it? The director, showrunner, is like, oh, he didn't mean to say that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he did mean to say that because everything has been so woke nowadays that you can hardly go anywhere without it being woke.
Yeah.
And the fact that the actor is coming back and saying, I thought it was going to be woke, but it's not. That's actually kind of a good thing. That actually might bring people to your show and telling them, oh, no, he misspoke. What? You want to double down on that and saying, you're right, we're not woke, because you're going to get more people.
The show's super woke. It's super woke. By the way, this was originally supposed to be a Tom Holland-y sort of Spider-Man story. With sort of his character, his version from the MCU, but Sony said no. So this is a Disney-only Spider-Man, and they can't have it as the same Tom Holland version, I guess. So Green Goblin is black, and Harry is a woman, and it's very, very race swapped. It's very race swapped.
So basically, he was right in calling it woke, and he shouldn't.
I know the
he
lizard.
Never backtracked on that.
I think the lizard is a woman and might be a different race. It is different. Mary Jane is Asian, I think. Like, it is the most race swap show I've ever seen in my life, ever. And apparently, it's really bad. I haven't seen it, which is not a good sign. Hey, everybody, another show I'm not going to watch.
Not at all.
Jason.
So we may have some good news here. It could be that season 3 will be the last season of Rings of Power.
You won't have me whipping you guys anymore to go see this thing?
Oh, thank God.
Long last.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Where there's a way, there's a way.
I want to go to war today.
War today, with the Lord of the left. Nay.
With as big a failure as it is, I could see an ending in season 3, but we'll have to see. Cowboy
We're
Bebop
getting
creator.
a new anime from the creator of Cowboy Bebop.
This isn't the first one since Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
We had that musical, whatever it was called.
It's gonna be called Lazarus, and apparently they have a drug. It's called Hapna. It's a miracle drug, but it kills the users. Yeah, so they're trying to find a vaccine to fight against the conspiracy, and they have a 30-day time limit. So we'll see how that goes.
I wish it all the luck in the world. I hope it's good.
Is it in the same universe as Cowboy Bebop?
I don't know. I don't think
Carol
it's
and
said,
Tuesday.
really.
Carol and Tuesday, he also did. which is it's a lot of singing and
Oh,
stuff.
right.
And Carol and Tuesday is actually in the same universe as Cowboy Bebop. It takes place on Mars, which Mars has a radiation problem.
It wouldn't surprise me if it is set in the same universe. It is what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not beyond the realm of possibility to have it in the same universe. It's not a fantasy. It's normal technology and stuff. Whether it is in the same universe, maybe it's before like the Earth got destroyed or something. I don't know.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, so this to me is a funny one. Apparently, this director, she wrote a movie that was really just garbage. Nobody liked it. It's called let's see, The Truth About Emmanuel. Apparently, the mother, the baby died, and so they have a toy doll that they pretend is the real baby, and it's all like cerebral, and there's no fantasy elements, there's no horror elements. It's just the woman's crazy, and they're trying to deal with the fact that the baby died. And this is how they're doing it, by treating this baby as a real baby, and then they get a babysitter, a nanny, to come in, and it's weird. So nobody saw it. Nobody liked it. It was really poorly reviewed. Well, they have this Apple TV show called Servant, and apparently it did really well. Everybody loved it. It went on for 4 seasons, and the director of The Truth About Emmanuel sued specifically M. Night Shyamalan and Apple TV for stealing her ideas, even though it's very, very different. This is the nanny that comes in brings the child back to life, and it's got horror elements and all this other stuff. But because they were using a doll for the baby, the director of The Truth About Emmanuel sued. And what I find is really funny about this is M. Night Shyamalan directed like 5 episodes total of this show, but he was named specifically in the lawsuit.
Well,
so apparently, apparently 5 years later, the jury verdict is that no, Apple TV and M. Night Shyamalan did not plagiarize your dumb idea.
Do you realize this also sounds suspiciously close to the movie The Boy?
Yeah,
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Where they lost a son, and now they have this little doll of their son, and they hire a nanny to take care of him, even though he's a boy. And she's like, "This is dumb. I'm not going to take care of the doll anymore," even though she's paid to do that. And then like creepy stuff happens, like maybe the doll's alive, like the boy's soul is trapped in the doll or something stupid. That's not what happened. Like somebody was in the wall.
It felt dumber than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they
made in the freaking wall.
They made a
So
sequel, and
the second one.
The sequel was there was a demon inside the doll, and it was like, wait a minute, I thought it was a kid in the wall that was moving it around. Now there's a demon in the doll.
Yeah.
This is really dumb. But there's
apparently that was a
2016 with that one, so I think that was newer than the M. Night Shyamalan.
The follow up.
Well,
it really just undermined the first movie.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's been an exciting podcast, kids. Little ones. Buttercup Ross.
Been so nice.
So nice. So good. I got angry. As it is my want. It is my way.
And need.
And need. I have to get my emotions out somehow. Silver got really jelly. She's really upset.
Take
about
him
it,
in
like
from others.
Shyamalan.
as is her way and want.
The jelliest person in the world. How do you live that way with yourself?
not jelly.
How do you live with yourself? How dare you?
You just said, "How do I live that way?"
Yes.
Easily and without much effort.
Exactly.
What was it? I have one question. How dare you?
How dare you?
Where do you get off?
How dare I? How
That's right.
dare I?
That's right. By the way, the rivalry has begun. It will last as long as Silver's around, and I could think of something stupid to joke about how I'm beating her. Yeah, anyway, something to end us with, Silver? Talk about something you're jelly about, is what you're going to do?
I'm super jealous that your birth name is Margaret.
And my birthday was not Margaret!
Lovely.
Expect a good
Marge.
punching. Expect a good punching. Fist, face, improve your disposition. Violence is the answer.
Well, joke's
Always.
on you. You'll lower your chance of diabetes if you punch me, as we've established.
Yeah. There's an inside joke that Wilford Brimley discovered that the way to stop diabetes is to beat your wife. Hey guys, if you have diabetes, you know what you need to do is you beat your wife. Every time you beat your wife, you lower your chances of contracting diabetes. I'm sure to
Just marry an MMA fighter and go into the ring with her. Just hit her. It's fine.
Is it not as potent because you're
if you don't beat your wife, you diabetes.
because you're like a cousin and not my wife? Is it like less potent? Do I only get like 20% dose by punching the hell out of you?
No, sure.
I mean, it helps, but it's not as beneficial as if you were punching your wife.
Yeah.
I just need to get more quality, so I just need to hit you more to get more out of it, is what it's telling me. Not as potent, so I gotta put more work in. That's right. Violence
Like,
against women is
I
funny.
guess that's how it works.
It's hilarious. Ross, how do you feel? Silver's jelly?
I'm feeling good. It's unfortunate she's jelly, but I can't help her with that. So
It's like a condition.
Val's gonna have to deal with that on her own. She's gonna have to learn to live with
Infected
that
with
sort
jelly.
of jelly. So
Didn't take your jelly shots?
Guys, I was diagnosed with jelly.
It's terminal.
bad news, everybody. Yeah, it's terminal. There's no cure.
I got something to tell you guys.
I've got something to reveal.
I need to tell you all something. I've been keeping it close to the chest for a while.
Get a jelly shot, start losing your hair.
Oh gosh. Gotta go in for the jelly treatment.
The jelly chemo.
Oh gosh.
Hard amounts of radiation.
You're gonna ring the
It'll
bell at the end that you're not jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The jelly free bell.
Yeah.
I'm 100% jelly free.
Yeah, well, that's what you're gonna be doing. I know. We're gonna stand by you through this. It's gonna be an ordeal, but we're here.
No, I'll be
We'll make
cheering
fun of you the
on.
whole
The whole
time.
hospital.
I'll be cheering on the jelly.
Oh, rude. Oh,
Take her
Margaret,
out.
Cheering
why?
on the jelly, hoping it claims me.
Listen, Marge, you don't need to be so rude about it. All right?
She's gotten too big for her britches. It's time she goes. Sing of it. Jason,
If I die, bury me with pudding.
bury you face down so I have a place to park my bike.
What was that?
Nah, that's your thing.
I'm going to bury her face down so I have a place to park my bike.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah. Sweet,
Sounds
Jason.
like exactly
Maybe-
what's needed there.
Well,
That
what's on
situation.
your mind? Final
yeah.
thoughts.
I think that there's always going to be a demand for video games and other forms of entertainment, and that is going to contribute to the survival of the industry. But like you said, it will probably be very unrecognizable going forward. I think they'll have to change quite a bit in order to even get back to where they, are.
I don't think there's any returning to previous glory ever. At this point, they're done.
If they do, then it will be a long time coming.
They would have to have a new blockbuster killer like a superhero movies that run for like a decade or two. And we don't have that. It would have to be, it's like suddenly monster movies are back and they're just massive. It would have to be something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's only temporary. It would rebuoy the industry temporarily, but I don't think this is survivable. The situation they've created, and I think this was inevitably the direction things were going. I don't think the industry is going to be the same the way it used to be.
No,
definitely not. Like I said, I think the industry will keep going forward because I think there's always going to be a demand for the entertainment, but it will be very different. We'll still have a movie industry, we'll still have television, we'll still have video games, but the industry will have to change in order to even survive this. And I think it will, like I said, because I think that there's always going to be a demand for that kind of stuff.
All right, kids, we're clocking out. It's time to get us to bed. This has been your weekly DG podcast. Share with your friends. Forcibly force them to listen to it through violence.
Yes.
Make them.
Send Wilfred Brimley.
Threaten violence.
Like that guy with Clockwork Orange where they prop his eyes open. They're just watching this podcast.
Watch the podcast. That could be, form of torture.
Did you know?
Very effective.
Did you know that jacked sex guy that carried him down the that carried that older guy down the stairs was the same guy that played Darth Vader?
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Peter Billings? Was that his name?
Mayhew.
No, Mayhew is
Mayhew.
No, Mayhew is Chewbacca, Jason.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Mayhew is Chewbacca.
But anyway, the guy that played Darth Vader in the suit is also in Clockwork Orange. So fun.
That's nice. What a nice family film for him to be a part of.
Yeah. After a guy got beaten to death with a giant penis statue. Share this with your kids. Name the other two movies that feature the gang from Clockwork Orange.
Batman and Robin.
And
Space Jam.
Space Jam 2.
Yeah, Space Jam 2. Pardon me.
Yeah. Batman and Robin, believe it or
not.
David
Prowse is the one we were looking for.
Anyway, Batman and Robin, believe it or not, are the degenerates from Clockwork Orange are in Batman and Robin. They're in that game
during the motorcycle race.
Yeah, during the motorcycle race. That's right.
Yeah.
Hot fact. All right, let's run away from here before we make everything worse. Force your friends. Force them to listen to the podcast. Anyway, let's get out of here. Bye, everybody.
Yay. Bye.
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, You can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God, it's so juicy.